Hello there.
Hello.
Welcome to another beautiful, sunny episode of The Island Shuffle. I'm your host, Bean.
I'm your host, James.
And together, what we do on this grand old Opry is we sing about our favorite television show, Lost.
Oh, won't you come see my favorite show, Lost? It has all your favorite characters. There's Hurley, Jack and Sawyer and Kate and Charlie and Desmond and Son and Jin and Ben and Juliet and Frank and... We're working on it.
We're working on it. We'll get there at the end. The ultimate goal of this podcast is to be able to list all the characters in a fun song.
Yeah, totally.
Every single character that has ever been named on the show.
I just want the good ones.
Yeah, that's
Michael
fair.
won't make it into the song.
Michael won't make it. Should Aaron make it then?
Yeah, I like Aaron.
All right. Frank definitely makes it. Frank is the
makes
first.
it. Who's but
Well, Sawyer's the first.
that girl that Faraday likes, she doesn't make it.
Yeah, Charlotte doesn't make it.
Charlotte doesn't make it. And
yeah.
it's not her fault, it's the writer's fault.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later. She isn't even in this episode.
She isn't even in this episode. What are we talking about? Neither is Michael.
Neither is Michael Faraday.
maybe
You
that's
know
why
who is in this episode?
Who?
All of your favorites.
All your faves. You got Jack and Sawyer and Kate and
Hurley
Hurley.
and Frank and Ben and Son and Jin and Syed and
Ben, young
Lapidus.
Ben.
You got Lapidus.
You got Lapidus. Hey, if you've got Lapidus, good news, because you're probably watching the show Lost.
Yeah.
This episode is season 5, episode 9. It's called Namaste, and guess what? It's not focused on anybody.
No, it's a multifaceted approach here rather
Mm-hmm.
than the old single facet.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not bad.
Honestly, I love a good multifaceted show, and I also love a good multi-fauceted show.
And
so that
yes.
so that I know that these characters are able to wash their hands wherever they go.
Wherever they have hands.
Wherever they bring their little hands.
You have a faucet up near your head,
Mhm.
the shower.
Yep.
You have a faucet down near your feet, the bathtub thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have a faucet in the middle,
You
hands.
You might have a faucet sticking out the side of your house, and you might think, who's the whacked out surrealist who drew this? No, my friend, that's where the garden hose goes.
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 Ba-da-da-da-da. that's if I ever form a Steely Dan ass like yacht rock band, the first single chorus is gonna be "That's where the garden hose goes."
I don't know if I've ever heard the term yacht rock, but I like it.
It applies to Steely Dan and probably other bands too, but I only know Steely Dan.
I like that.
You know what? Steely Dan. That's all I need. They did it.
Yacht rock.
They did it, and they did great. This is now a Steely Dan appreciation podcast, and no, it's not. Sorry for the lie. It's still a Lost podcast.
So we're doing season 5, episode 9. Namaste.
Yep. Let's start.
There's 2 things going on.
There's
here.
2 things going on, and one of them is significantly more than the other.
Yeah.
So do you want to start with the less good one or the
Yeah,
more
totally.
good one?
Let's do the less good one, get it out of the way, and then we can have some fun.
And because it is how the episode actually starts.
Yeah.
So it's good. So what we
They're on a plane.
They're on a plane, and you might think, what is this? The pilot? What is this? The premise of the show? They're crashing on a plane? No, my friend. This ain't the iconic Oceanic 815.
This is a different one.
It's a different flight.
They're going back to the island, though.
They're going back to the island.
So the people who left the island have been off the island.
Yes.
The Oceanic 6.
Yes.
And now they're coming back.
Correct. They're coming back by way of a plane. They don't know exactly how this plane is going to get there, but they have a sense.
And it crashes
It
there.
sure does crash. We get a funny scene of like shots of everybody in the plane, and it's all the people you like. It's a much less populated plane than Flight 815 was. There's I think 5 other non-characters on this plane, and it's dead ass empty. And Frank is chatting with the co-pilot. Also, Frank is piloting the plane.
Frank
by
is the
way.
pilot. He's a damn good pilot.
He's the one thing about Frank that you gotta know. He loves to fly any aerial mechanism.
Anything. He's a non-denominational pilot.
He loves.
First, we see him doing private helicopter stuff, and now it's a chartered like flight
He's
with a giant Airbus.
He's a man of many of one particular talent.
Yeah, totally.
And you know what? He's flying the plane, and his co-pilot is like, "Hey, you see who's on this flight? It's those guys that came back from that plane crash. Like all of them are on this flight. That's pretty weird, huh? Well, I guess a good thing I don't believe in curses, huh? Rumble, rumble, rumble."
And that's when the plane decides to crash.
When the plane decides to crash, and it's nighttime at the time, and then as it's crashing, you get the classic like starts to fade into desaturated white that you get when to signify time shit is happening.
Oh yeah.
And then suddenly it's daytime.
It's daytime, and they're crashing into the island.
They're crashing into the island, and
Frank does a funny crash landing.
Frank does a really funny crash landing, and we get to see just how good of a pilot he is.
He crash lands, and he does so well that the tree that goes into the window of the cockpit only hits his co-pilot.
Yes, it only
and
hits the co-pilot.
Spears and murders him.
Pretty much everybody else seems to survive this flight except the co-pilot.
Yeah.
And
except some people don't make it off the plane.
Who doesn't make it off the plane?
Or they don't walk off the plane.
Right, yes. Who?
A select cast of Jack, Kate,
yes,
Hurley,
and Saeed.
They
do not make it off the plane because they instead get warped back to 1977.
They go back in time somehow.
Somehow.
We don't know how.
Nobody knows how. Maybe we'll find out someday. No,
I
we won't.
don't think we will.
Never
no,
find
we
out.
definitely won't. So while the plane is crashing, basically all the best characters on the plane go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And who is left is essentially like 5 randos that nobody likes.
Yeah.
And
Sun and Ben and of course
and Lapidus.
Yeah, and Lapidus. And so when they're initially gathering themselves after the crash. By the way, I also want to mention that Frank doesn't just crash the plane, he lands the plane on a runway.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, he doesn't. So you know how 815 tore apart and there's just wreckage everywhere? The plane's fine.
There's
a hole in it. It's a little banged up, but it's intact.
This is the weird thing because later on we will see they want to use that plane to get off the island, but it's there's a hole in the front of the plane. It won't work. They can't. That was a bad plan.
It's not a good plan. It's not a good plan, and it's not a good plane.
No, it's not a good plane.
But it is a much better plane than 815 post crash, at least. Imagine putting that one together. Humpty Dumpty.
They got a whole plane.
Yeah. So they're kind of making sense, and just in this. As I compared this to season 1, where you have oh my gosh, it's this magnificent beach, but there's wreckage strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
Panning shots of the survivors gathering things and luggage, and a character we don't really know that well, but are going to.
Yeah.
Meets a very prominent character, meets just a rando, and they're sitting around a tableau painted. Here it's just 10 dudes.
Some shitty beach.
Some shitty beach, 10 dudes.
Nothing visually pleasing.
Nothing visually pleasing. Frank goes out and is bleeding, and he's just all right, guys. We just gotta hang tight. Wait for rescue to come, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Then some people backtalk him, but you don't care about the people because they're losers who aren't even in the show, really.
Yeah, some randos are just we should go investigate those weird buildings over there. And Frank's I don't know about that, guys. And while he's talking, Ben sulks off.
He just leaves, and then Sun leaves too.
Sun leaves too.
Because it's not interesting.
It's not interesting. They're just bored.
And then the cameramen leave. They're this is way more interesting. I'm not hanging out on this beach. Last time a plane crashed here, it was dope as shit for 18 weeks on the beach. Here we got 4 minutes, and then we are bored out of our minds, and we have to go wander in the jungle.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's what's going through the cameraman's head.
Yeah.
So Sun is following Ben, but Ben's really following Sun, and they meet in the jungle, and Sun's I have to find Jin. I don't know where Jin went. I was told Jin was on the island, and I gotta find him. And Ben's well, I've got it. There's a boat over there, and I'm gonna take it back to the main island. Oh, by the way, they landed on the smaller island. They landed on the Hydra island.
With the cages.
With the animal cages and the aquarium and shit. So they're not on the main island. So Ben wants to take a boat, go to the real island. Sun's well, if there's a chance that Jin's there, I gotta take it. Frank catches up to them. So now there's just no one.
There's no one there. Frank left.
So there's no one taking care of these
Frank's
randos.
what are you guys doing?
What are you guys doing?
And they're we're leaving.
And he's can you really trust this guy? He's a bozo. And the son's like, I guess I got no choice.
Gotta trust Ben.
And they go out to the island. They go out to the boats, rather. And while Ben is kind of rambling about like, hey, well, listen, we got resources over there. So from a survival perspective, this is good. While Ben's rambling, Sun conks him with an oar.
It's cool.
And it's cool to see.
She concusses him. She knocks him out.
Just knocks him out stone cold. And Frank does a cool little, I thought you said you trusted him. And Sun gives a little.
I lied.
Yeah. It's cool when they give Sun something to do.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because they never do.
Mm-hmm.
She always, through the whole series, she's like, look after the shitty dog, look after Walt, play with some plants, make a garden, don't talk to anyone.
Remember when she came back to like the real world and then bought a controlling chair in her father's company?
Oh, that was so sick.
And it was all like building up to like, oh, Sun's changed now. Sun's ruthless now.
Yeah.
And like this is that. And I think this is
This is her being like more conniving,
exactly.
more like taking life by the reins.
Yes.
And really riding the horse of life.
Honestly, when you're riding the horse of life, it takes you some wacky places.
Life is a horse, and sometimes you gotta make glue.
You got what does that mean doing what are you doing to life?
You're melting down your own life to create glue because you have two little pieces of life that you want to bind together to create one life.
Oh, sunrise, sunset.
Sunrise, sunset.
That's exactly it.
Sun, life, financial.
Don't talk to me about Sun Life Financial.
Really? Did they screw you?
Next scene is
I'm so intrigued.
not Ben. Sun and Frank have made it to the mainland and they're in the yellow barracks. They're there and it's nighttime and it's super run down and spooky and haunted. And they're like, "Ooh, I'm scared, Sun. I don't think we're gonna find your husband
is
here."
Scary.
And then a light goes on and it's like, oh, it's so scary here. I'm scared I'm going to pee my pants.
Yes.
That is exactly what happens. The next thing that happens is the door opens and who comes out?
Jack's dad.
Jack's dad.
Christian. The old alcoholic. Doctor.
Who got beat up by his son a few episodes ago.
Yeah, Jack thought that his dad was sleeping with his wife. It was a whole thing. So he beat his dad up in the middle of an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Embarrassing.
What a faux pas.
Wouldn't that be crazy if you were in an AA meeting and then this guy that you barely knew who was just telling stories about all his boozy nights, his son came in and they were both doctors and the son went, "You're sleeping with my wife," and then kicked the shit out of the dad, and then the cops had to come, and then everyone in that meeting started drinking again that day.
I think so. I think that's a bad environment for an AA meeting.
Totally. You can't have that sort of high stress. It's
really
a place scary. There's blood everywhere.
It's a place free of judgment.
Happened. Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to.
You're just
feel
scared
safe.
for your life now.
What the hell?
Everyone's like, oh, well, I'm not sleeping with my son's wife, but I've done things.
Well, I've done a thing or two.
When's my son
bursting
me?
into this AA meeting?
My son's not a doctor, but he's a mechanic, and he could probably throw a mean punch.
You're sleeping with my car, aren't you?
Yeah, you're sleeping in my car, aren't you? So it was embarrassing.
Yeah,
and
so
that to say that dad is dead now.
Dad is dead now, and so one way you cope with that kind of trauma is you get manifested as the smoke monster.
You repurpose the body.
You repurpose the body, and you help Sun find some stuff out.
Yeah.
So
they go into this crazy, weird, dark room that's like all jambled up, and it's been abandoned for a long time. It looks like someone left in a hurry, but it's full of all these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack's dad is like, "Oh, you want to know where your husband is, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't worry, he's with your friends."
Yeah.
She's like, "What are you talking about?" And then he shows them a picture, and it's like the Dharma recruits of 1977.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "They're back in time, baby."
It's a really funny reveal.
It's sort of cool. I liked it.
Kind of dope, and it's really funny. It is like appropriately corny, and the whole like, ooh, it's a haunted, spooky house. And
no reason for that.
No reason for that, but it does make it more fun.
Totally, yeah.
It's So that plot is like mostly nothing, but you do get
yeah.
that fun reveal at the end.
That's all there is. Basically, what they did is they took all of the characters that are less interesting or have less to do with in terms of driving a plot forward and placed them all in the modern day, and they took all of the like real powerhouse characters and put them in the Back in Time world.
And you feel that as soon as we get to that first Back in Time scene.
Yeah.
Where we have Jack, Hurley, Kate meeting up with Sawyer by the cliffside.
Yeah.
And Sawyer's like, oh my God, you guys are back. Hurley's like, I can't believe you're alive. Everybody's like giving each other hugs. They haven't seen each other in 3 years. They can't believe it. And it's just like, oh, they're all friends. What a history we have here.
There's like a real emotional. It's really funny because there's so much more emotion with them than there is with the people who are like, we just crashed on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Meanwhile, these guys have met each other 3 years in Back in Time, and it's like, oh my God, these guys are really friends.
Heartfelt, and it's even like beautiful too. They're on a cliffside, and there's like a green meadow, and they have a VW van.
Yeah, they're all like wearing their like Jack's in a suit. Hurley's like I think still has his like guitar case.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a striking enough scene that I'm like, damn, that's some good lost shit.
It's cool, yeah.
And then so basically they're like, well, where's the rest of the passengers on the flight we came here on? And Sawyer's like, you guys came here on a flight, on a plane? That's weird that we didn't see anything. Well, listen, we got some news for you. It's 1977, and we've been in the Dharma Initiative for 3 years. What the heck? What the heck? What the freaking heck? And so what ends up happening, more or less, is they're like, well, here's who's... So a couple things come out of this. First thing that happens is they kind of list off all the people. They were like, well, Ben was on the flight, Saeed was on the flight, Sun was on the flight, and as soon as Jin hears that Sun was on the flight, he's like, Sun was on the flight? Hops in the Jeep and says, like, I got to go see Rudzinski about this. And so he does that. And then the other couple things that happen out of that main scene is that, well, actually, I think that's the main one. Yeah. That's the main one. Basically, Sawyer's like, okay, Jin's off doing that. I'm going to go try to sort something out. You guys wait here for me. So Jin goes to meet Rudzinski in the Flame Station. We've met Rudzinski a couple times. He's a dick who sucks.
He's a nerd.
He's a real jerk and a meanie, and I don't like him very much. And nobody does. He spends most of season 5 just bossing everybody around, and he's the boss man.
He's cool.
But he's also the primary architect behind the Swan, which is where the button is pushed all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
We actually see him building the model for that very station in this episode when we first meet him. But anyways, Jin runs in, and Rudzinski's like, hey, what are you, don't knock? Hey, what are you doing? Get your grubby bits off all my equipment. I'm sick of this. And Jin's like, did a plane land recently? And without explaining anything. And Rudzinski's like, a plane? What the heck? You think I would have known if there's a plane landing. And Jin is just like not taking any of his bullshit, grabs him, holds him against the wall, says, listen.
Oh, yeah.
Check with all the stations and make sure that there's no plane.
And that's a weird scene. That's not a good scene.
It's not great.
Because it's not... Like, I understand why Jin would have those emotions, but it's such an absurd way to act on them. And raises so much suspicion that then is just forgotten immediately.
It's the thing about Sun and Jin being separated is twofold, and it's the fact that these characters are so... Like, them being apart...
They're so codependent.
They're so codependent.
All of their flashbacks happen together. And them being split up gives them a chance to grow for a second. Like, Sun gets to be like, oh, well, now I'm cutthroat, and now I'm do whatever it takes. And Jin gets to kind of, like, I don't think Jin really does much, but Jin now I know English.
Jin gets to learn English, I guess. And then as soon as there's even, like, a whiff of, like, oh, Jin's alive? Oh, Sun's alive? That's all just thrown out the window, and they become tunnel visioned into, like, I gotta do it at all costs. I'm willing to throw out this entire ruse of living in the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, it's lame.
It's not great. It's not one of the better things in season 5, I think.
But so Rudzinski checks in to see if a plane landed, and surprise, surprise, it did not.
It did not, which is wild, but hey, guess what? This island's done wackier things.
All he has on the radars is a submarine coming in soon.
Exactly. And so Jin's kind of like, well, damn. But then, beep, beep, beep. oh, geez, look at this. We got a hostile over inside the perimeter.
Sector 14 or something.
And Jin just is like, once again, off to the races. Goes out to try to find whatever it is. And who could it be?
Saeed.
It's Saeed. And Saeed is initially so happy to see Jin.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, how'd you get here? I can't believe it. But then along comes Radzinski, and Jin's all business.
He has to put a gun to Saeed's head and threaten Saeed. And it's like, you're being a shitty friend right now, Jin.
It's not a good friend move.
No.
So
if my friend did that to me, I would want an apology pretty quickly.
Yeah, honestly, if you've ever done that to a friend, you should really reconsider what you think friendship is.
Totally.
It's not.
Don't put guns to their head and threaten.
No. I mean, no matter the circumstances. Never, ever do that. To a friend.
To a friend.
To a friend.
To an enemy, yes.
To an enemy, do it all the time.
All the time. They're the worst.
So, Sawyer comes up with the plan. And, of course, we know this plan. The plan is to integrate them. As luck would have it, a sub is arriving today. And Sawyer decides to go home, get a change of clothes for the lads, go back and say, all right, here's your suits. We're going to mess with the manifest a bit, and listen, you're new recruits in the Dharma Initiative, so just, follow my lead. I've got it all worked out. Don't worry about it. It might be a little touch and go, but just, it's fine.
And they're like, all right.
They're like, fine, all right.
Let's get in your van,
Let's get in your van.
Family man.
Family man Sawyer gets the family in the van, and they all go on a drive, and they're all kind of like still reeling from the news that they're back in 1977, as one would be. And they're just kind of like Hurley asked the classic question of like, the Dharma Initiative dies, right? Aren't you going to help them? And Sawyer's response is, well, listen, Faraday has some interesting ideas about what we can and can't do in the past.
And Hurley's like, Faraday's here?
Oh boy, my favorite.
My guy.
And Sawyer just says a mysterious, not anymore, he's not. Which makes it seem like he died, but he didn't. It's fine.
He just left or something?
Fine. He just left. Yeah. So they arrive and they're like, all right, just go into the recruitment station with all these other guys. And we'll, when they call your name, go to them. And Jack gets his name called and goes to get recruited by none other than Pierre Chang.
The doctor who is Miles' dad.
The doctor who's Miles' dad, who's in all the orientation videos. And he says, like, oh, it's all a mess. Someone had a baby last night. We're all our stuff's out of order. Anyways, here's your clothes. Nice to meet you. Well, listen, you're going to be a workman, so you're going to be a janitor for the whole time. And listen, and here you go, and thank you. Meanwhile, Kate is standing around. Her name hasn't been called. And a greasy little guy comes up.
What's the guy's name again? Paul or something?
Phil.
Phil,
the greasy man, comes up. You would recognize Phil if you've ever seen Mulholland Drive. He gives that one monologue in the diner and then gets jumped by the monster in the alley.
I got to watch that movie.
It's a good movie. That monologue is actually very good.
That's cool. Good for Phil.
But here he's just a creep. And while he's being a creep, he's like, well, we don't have you on the manifest or your file. So what did you say your name was again? And in comes the heroine, Juliet,
the heroine. Charlie loves her.
Charlie's favorite character, Juliet.
The heroine.
Actually, there's a scene we forgot to mention about this.
Ooh.
Can you believe it?
I don't remember it.
The scene is Juliet goes to steal the manifest from a sleeping Amy.
Oh, yeah.
Amy who had given birth.
Baby lady.
Baby lady has a baby and is sleeping off the baby. Yeah, as one does.
And Juliet alters the manifest.
Juliet comes up to grab the manifest, but Amy wakes up. And Juliet's like, oh, hi, sorry, didn't mean to wake you. I was just going to go sort this manifest out. You shouldn't be working today. Take the day off. How's your little baby? Oh, your baby's so cute. Your little baby's so cute. I also want to mention that I appreciated the glasses fashion you were pulling off there.
Oh, yeah, I was doing a little gag.
You were doing a little visual
I thought
gag.
Bean was going to laugh on the microphone, but you held it together pretty well.
You know what? I'm a professional.
That was really professional work and professional behavior, and I give you my badge of professionalism. It is a can of Chef Boyardee.
Oh, that's the most professional meal that there is.
Yes, it is.
That meal is only eaten by the most professional of professionals.
Chefs with the big funny hat.
Chefs with the big funny hat.
Cookie
love
Monster
to eat
eats Chef Boyardee. It's the only non-cookie food he eats.
Well, I mean,
other people who eat Chef Boyardee.
Yes.
The bee from Honey Nut Cheerios.
That seems like brand betrayal to me.
Yeah, the Chef Boyardee is just that good.
Yeah.
Mr. Noodle.
Mr.
Eats
Noodle?
Chef Boyardee.
Remind me what Mr. Noodle looks like.
He's the guy who made Mr. Noodles.
Right, of course.
And also Sully from Monsters Inc.
My favorite man.
Yeah, Mike Wazowski won't eat that shit.
No,
though.
Mike Wazowski is not professional enough.
Fresh cooked ravioli only.
Oh my god. Well, that guy needs to get his head out of his ass and start learning
Seriously, that guy needs to get a head and get an ass.
so that he can shove his head up there.
Totally.
Ah, man. Well, he'll get there. And you know what? So too will Juliet, who picks up the baby and guess what? He says, "Hey, have you guys decided on a baby name yet?" And Amy says, "Yeah, we're going to name the baby. We're going to name the baby Ethan." Can you believe it? Time travel's wacky. This is a wacky time travel episode, and Juliet holds a murderer in her arms.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I doubt well, maybe they will explore this, but it's interesting because all the Dharma people die.
Yes.
But I guess probably maybe all the children are just like taken or something.
I would the others do have a thing about taking children.
Yeah,
I feel like
they
they
like
probably
taking
would
children.
take the children.
All right, that makes sense.
That would make sense
They're
to
not
me.
killing Ethan.
I'm pretty sure they don't ever explore
But
how
Horace and Amy are dead.
they're dead. They're dead as a doorknob.
Kill him, grind him up, put him in some discount ravioli.
That's honestly a good way to respect the dead.
A
A great way to respect the dead is to eat their ashes among ravioli.
Mm-hmm.
So, Juliet brings the manifest to Kate to save her from Phil and says, "Hey, no, actually, here's the new manifest. You're Kate Austin, right?" And Juliet's just like, Kate's just like, "Well, I guess we gotta."
All right.
Thanks for saving my ass, buddy. And it's all good, except for Saeed is there too. Saeed is here.
Oh, yeah, Saeed is there, and they got Saeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sawyer goes down to the Saeed situation.
Yes.
Saeed is locked in a closet with Wazinski, or Radzinski,
Yes.
and Jin.
Here's something I really like. Here's something I want to point out that I really like. Sawyer has just brought everybody to the recruitment town. Jin radios in and says like, "Hey, we've got a code situation over at the Flame and looking for LaFleur and need you to get over here and it's a hostel and like so we see Jin radioing in. We see like Radzinski like at like just behind him, and he's like, "Well, we got a thing." And then Jin takes 3 steps forward and then goes
slightly outside the room,
and then goes, "It's Saeed! Sawyer, it's Saeed! Can you believe it?" And it's like,
yeah,
great stealth, dude.
it's not very stealthy at all.
It's not very stealthy.
If I were Radzinski, I would have heard that.
I would have heard that and then been real suspicious.
Yeah.
But instead, Radzinski doesn't hear that. Sawyer comes down, and and Radzinski, being a jerk, wants to shoot Saeed because he thinks Saeed's a hostile, which is what the Dharma Initiative calls the others. Boy, there's a lot of wacky threads in this whole show, isn't there? It's a lot to
crazy.
keep track of. It's
There's
a wacky
so much
show.
going on. It's such a good show.
That's how you know it's a good show.
It's so good. I
It's-
don't know how they fit so much story into one little show.
One little show full of so many threads that I love to think about all the time.
121 episodes, 121 hours of fun for me.
Fun for me and fun for you. It's
Ravioli has never gotten better than this.
No, it can't and it shan't.
Beefaroni, what do you think of that?
I don't really fuck with it.
All right.
I don't really fuck with beefaroni. That's my stance on it.
I don't really fuck with beefaroni.
I'm not. Where's the lie?
Yeah.
Show me the lie.
Did you ever fuck with it?
No, never in
No.
my life. I don't think I've ever really fucked with Chef Boyardee in
Yeah.
general. That's
You
a
don't
line
like the chef, eh?
that's a line of products.
You and Mike Wazowski.
Me and Mike Wazowski honestly don't have a head and don't have an ass,
Yeah,
and we need to do something about that.
totally.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the lack of chef going on.
I think it's the lack of big chef hat funny in
I
my
don't know
life.
if I got my head from Chef Boyardee, but I definitely got my ass from them.
That's where they come from.
Yeah, that's where the asses are made, in the Chef Boyardee factory. Because that man, you know what he hides under his giant white puffy hat?
What does he hide?
Asses.
Yeah, it does kind of look like the outline of it. You can tell it's many an ass.
There's hundreds of asses.
Many a
under there.
hidden ass just begging to escape from this wretched prison of a hat.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good stuff.
I mean, you see other chefs that wear something similar, and they've got a few asses in there.
A couple.
Chef Boyardee, he is a monster.
Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
Chef Artie.
Artie, the chef who is a boy.
Artie, the chef who is a boy.
So it's settled. Asses from Chef Boyardee. On to the show.
Honestly, I'm glad we settled that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can finally put that to bed.
As are
it is
you,
settled.
viewers at home.
So, the day has... Okay, wait. Before it all wraps up, we haven't gone to Sawyer interrogating, quote unquote, Saeed. Sawyer shows up, and he's like, listen, we got to interrogate him. And he gives him the, like, listen... my name's LaFleur, and you gotta identify yourself as a hostile. And Saeed, goes along with it like a champ.
Yeah.
It's a good scene of Sawyer just running things. It's a great episode of Sawyer just running things.
It's cool.
Honestly.
Sawyer is the boss, and I like it.
Sawyer is the boss. Sawyer
He's
figures
a good
out the
boss.
plan.
He's a really good boss. I would work for that man.
He figures out a plan, and they eventually decide to bring Saeed into the barracks. And
they got a little jail.
They send him into jail. They send him into the famous jail that we all know and love. And the night ends, and the picture that Son and Christian and Frank find is taken.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, all right, have fun. Go to your stations. You know, I know it's a lot, but listen, it's safe. We promise. Have fun here at the good old Dharma Initiative, and it's good to be here. And so the night falls, and Jack goes to visit Sawyer. Finds Juliet there. Thinks he's in the wrong house, but no.
They live together. They're lovers.
Baby. And here we have maybe my favorite scene in the episode, potentially, which is Jack kind of grilling Sawyer. And
he's like, what are you doing? You're reading a book, you idiot? You
reading,
gotta do things.
We got what's the plan? What's the plan here? And Sawyer's just kind of like, listen, you guys fell out of the sky, out of nowhere, fuck all our shit up, and listen, I saved your asses. I got you guys into here, and you know why I read a book? It's because I think. Not like you, Jack. Jack, you reacted. And as I remember, a lot of people died. So guess what? I'm going to think, because that's how I saved you today, and it's how I'm going to save Saeed tomorrow.
Hey, I got us off the island, though.
and Sawyer immediately is like, well, you're back, dummy.
Right back where you started.
You're right back where you started in 30 years ago.
So I'm going to think, get out of my house, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good, and there's a very nice moment of like, all you got to do, Jack, just go home and sleep. Ain't that a relief, Jack? And Jack is just like, Jack earnestly turns around and is like, yeah, it's great.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And it's a nice, like, oh, the dynamic is completely different here.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Jack is just a dude. Sawyer's in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool.
And everybody's kind of just trying to, like, keep up this weird front. Where, like, in the episode of LaFleur, you see, like, how that front gets built or has been built. And then you see, like, a wrench get thrown into it, and Sawyer kind of trying to manage everything. And then the rest of the season is that front falling apart slowly.
Totally, yeah.
And I got some problems with season 5, but that's fun.
It's cool.
That's some fun shit.
This episode has been fun.
This episode is a fun one, I think.
What else happens? Is there just one more thing, like, really noteworthy that happens?
There is, let me just confirm
There's
with
a couple,
my notes.
like, Kate stares at Sawyer from across the room, and they exchange a hand wave.
Yeah, that does happen. And I think the only real major other thing that happens is the final scene, which is a young Ben Linus giving Saeed a sandwich.
And then Saeed has this look in his face.
Yeah, like, ooh, time to kill.
And he's going to murder a little boy. And I can't wait to see how that goes. Oh, wait, we already did.
We already did.
He shoots Ben like twice or something?
He shoots Ben a couple times, but then Ben survives because they take Ben to Richard. And then Richard says, hey,
God will heal you.
God will heal you, but if I do this, he's one of us forever. And they're just like, all right.
Whatever.
Well, this is better than letting him die, I guess.
And it's cool.
And it's what a show.
That was a good episode.
I've been thinking a lot about the last half of this show. And I've been thinking in particular about season 5 versus season 6. Because season 6 is so abysmal to watch.
It's garbage.
It's just garbage. And I'm just like wondering what I was thinking, and I think I figured it out. What went away from season 5 to season 6? And I think it's the characters reacting to things appropriately.
Yeah.
Throughout this episode, there's a real sense that the 3 new characters to going back in time are like stunned and flabbergasted. By what's
Totally.
happening.
Yeah. They don't just accept it.
They cannot believe it.
Yeah.
Hurley's constantly questioning it. Kate, I think at one point is like, Jack, did you know this was going to happen? Did you know we were going to go back in time?
Yeah.
Similarly, the gang is incredulous that they're in the Dharma Initiative for 3 years. They're just like,
and they're asking the right questions too. Of like, what about when they die? What about like they're using the information that they have sort of intelligently.
But there's also the guys of like, well, we don't want to blow anyone's cover, so we have to kind of like. There's like my favorite moment is when Jack comes in and Sawyer's just like, what can I do for you? And Jack just says, I don't even know where to start. And it's like, yeah. That's how you would feel if you went back in time and saw your friends who you thought were dead.
Totally. Yeah.
And they were living among the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, amongst these people that you thought were dead.
Yeah, that would have an impact. Whereas, of course, in season 6, secondary antagonist Widmore shows up and everybody's just like, well, it's fine.
It's Whitmore.
The smoke monster has been found out and his ruse is up. It's not really a big deal.
No.
Just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, exactly.
But here there's a sense of like, I don't know, not urgency, but just like even like the bare ass minimum of the characters being the characters and reacting appropriately.
Totally. You can watch,
pulls so much weight because these characters are so like good and enjoyable to see.
Yeah. Because it's like they react to twists the same way that the viewer does, essentially.
Exactly.
Where you're like, what? That's what's going on?
Exactly.
Whereas in the 6th season, it's like a twist happens and everyone's like, well, that just happened.
Yeah, like
everything is normal, though.
Like Saeed comes back from the dead and everyone's just like, I guess Saeed's back from the dead now.
Totally, yeah.
That's
Saeed's a zombie and they're just like, look at him, he's a zombie.
Yeah, and they're just like...
And no one's like, how the fuck is this going on?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody is losing their marbles over this, as they maybe should.
Yeah.
And it's so like, anyways, I've said my piece. We're all in agreement. Everybody agrees with what I have to say. Is that
all of us?
All of us do. All of us do agree.
The studio audience here.
Honestly, the studio audience hopefully agrees with me. So, all right, I've got some questions for you. I've got some questions and answers.
Some trivia.
Courtesy of Lostpedia. That's exactly right. And unfortunately, I've gone ahead and fucked up and clicked an image, and now I'm stuck on sportsnet.ca. Did you know that John Gibbons scolds Kevin Pillar in latest dismal Blue Jays loss?
Kevin Pillar.
Oh,
I didn't know that, but honestly, a lot of people have been scolding John Gibbons, so let's get him out of there.
Let's get him.
Ain't that right, Blue Jays fans? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you're freaking right, buddy. Well, I got to do another Google search because my phone has decided to die. But hey, listen. We've had fun here on this episode, right?
This has been a really good episode. Season 5 ain't all that bad.
Season 5 ain't all that bad. As far as late lost goes, it's definitely late lost.
Let me tell you that.
I'll tell you that much for free.
I'll tell you that much for free.
I won't tell you that for any cost. Not a penny, not a nickel, certainly not a dime. Certainly not a quarter.
No, not
get your loonies and toonies out of here.
A Canadian loon. Maybe I'll take this instant just to do our spiel on random.org because we're going to use it. We are going
to be using random.org shortly.
And they sponsor the show.
They love us. And
they're a random number generator. Absolutely free. Just random.org.
None of
a organization. So you know it. All the money generated from the number generator goes right to charity.
And what it is it does generate money constantly.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
They're a money creator.
They love to create money. And honestly, I can't blame him because money is so cool, and I love money.
Money is my thing.
I love money so much that I'm going to charge you if you ask me a question.
Okay.
First, it costs you a penny. Then it costs you a nickel.
Oh, you're doubling it by 5, multiplying by 5 every time.
Well, no, then because the next one's going to cost 10, you see. A dime. The small one. The blue nose.
Okay.
Then it's going to be the old...
Oh, I see what's going on here.
1 of coin.
Okay, 1 of coin equals 2 of bill.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Got him. Here they are. So what we've got is 4 questions for you.
Okay,
There's only 4 questions about this episode. That's the only questions this episode raises. So my first for you is, where did Faraday go?
No idea. He went to the future or some shit?
The answer is, of course, he left for the Dharma headquarters at Ann Arbor, continuing his research on time there.
I didn't know okay.
No, yeah.
Ann Arbor.
I don't think we've learned that.
Where is that? Michigan?
Michigan, yes.
Cool.
So what is the journey Sun has ahead of her to reunite with the Oceanic Six?
Jesus Christ. I don't know.
I don't remember that getting asked, first of all.
That is so weird. No, I have no idea.
Okay, because buckle up, because it's a ride. Christian is going to advise Sun to follow the Risen Locke in order to reunite with them. Of course, the Risen Locke is actually the Man in Black himself, and his real objective is to get Jacob murdered.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
That
That
didn't
was
answer that question.
Bad.
That's not what.
That's not the journey.
No, it isn't.
Oh, well.
Well, all right. So, okay. So, why was the numbers broadcast heard on the Ajira flight? We didn't really mention this, but when the Ajira flight was crashing, you could hear the numbers being broadcast.
I didn't
on
know it was, but I guess because they were broadcasting and the radio picked it up.
That is the answer I would think too. But according to Lostpedia, the broadcast was likely received through time due to the time dilation. You know.
Fuck that.
Yeah, sure.
That's not a thing. You can't receive a broadcast through time.
And finally, why was the monster heard near the barracks?
Because he was there.
Yes, because he was there. He was going there. So here's what I like. Here's what I like about this. Here's what I like about this set of questions. The bottom two, which is why were the numbers broadcast on the Ajira flight,
Uh-huh.
and why was the monster heard near the barracks, are under their own category. The category is self-implied.
Jesus Christ.
Self-implied. Let me hit you with this paragraph that's at the top of this Wikipedia article. Lostpedia, questions and answers. Self-implied denotes that the episode that raised a question in itself already implied the answer, though fans may have missed it and continue to ask about it.
Fuck that numbers one.
The
That is so bullshit.
Oh, you didn't figure
It's
out
the
that
time dilation.
it's obviously time dilation.
That is so dumb.
You-
Get that one taken down. Honestly, JJ, this is a disgrace.
JJ?
You made a perfect product.
This is what
saved from season 6. Season 6 is garbage. I'll tell you, JJ. But get rid of this. Lostpedia, question number 3 on season 5, episode 9.
It truly besmirches the spotless reputation of this show. Speaking of the show, you want to watch some more of it?
Yeah, let's watch a new one.
I'd love
I'm
to
gonna
watch
get.
another one.
I'm on random.org.
Oh, my favorite website to be on.
Oh, I do 1 to 60 now?
Yes, indeed. This is the new era, the
1
new
to
batch.
60.
Mhm.
I got 57. Holy shit.
Yikes! Speaking of season 6 being bad, 57, eh?
Yep.
The Last Recruit is the episode. It's season 6, episode 13. And there's, once again, no focus on this episode.
No focus. Well, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be like this episode, but way worse. So
I can't wait.
I neither can wait. I am excited. And boy, howdy, what are we going to do about this show called Lost? I guess watch more of it, huh?
Yeah, let's watch it again next week.
We should watch it again next week, I think. So, that's been the show. Time for the old wrap-up. I've been Bean. You can follow me on twitter.com @BarrierTrio. And
I'm James. Just go to jamesbrown.space. It's all the information you'll need.
that's true. That's true. You can find all about him. He's also got another podcast going called Lovable Favorites.
Lovable
That's currently in
Favorites.
its 2nd season. A delightful watch and read also. You can watch it and read it. Some people
You
call
can only listen to it.
Well, I mean, if you're creative, you can watch it and read it. Some people
This is not Bop It. Hear it. Watch it. Read it.
Smell it.
Boop, 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 boop.
I miss Bop It.
Eat it.
No, I don't. It would stress me out all the time.
Yeah, it was cool for 2 minutes and then it sucked.
Bop It is a stressful experience, and I don't recommend it.
Yeah. It's
'cause-
like the
and that-
wall ball of.
vivid memory of, sorry for interrupting you, but vivid memory of Bop It when you lose, the voice goes, "Hey, you win." Not.
Oh my god.
It sucks.
That's rude.
It's so rude and
Bad
mean.
joke.
Bad joke. So, what else? We are on the Noisepace.xyz network, which is hosted by my friend Matt, who just lets all his friends do podcasts on there for free, which is nice of him. Many
very
other good
cool.
shows on there. Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, My Pod Cabbages, Sex and the City podcast that's called City Girls Make Do, and Giants Confirmed that They Might Be Giants podcast. There's others too, and there's a lot of them, and it's never been a better time to be on Noisepace.xyz.
Ooh, Noisepace.xyz.
Go there and listen to all of them because they're all good. And that, I think, is all the wrap-up that we have to do. Leave us a review on iTunes if you like what you hear, because I'm told that's a good thing to do. You can also follow the show on Twitter. Do you do? No, you don't. It's just @IslandShuffle.
Yeah.
And then Facebook.com/TheIslandShuffle. And that's all we got to say about the damn ass show, huh? So what do you say? we go and say goodbye with the favorite thing that we like to say, which is, yeah.